not just said but heard, not just heard but seen, not just seen but felt. Behind your nine means be substance, beyond your like you know. Let's see your wise words form this constant flow. Proof at the show proof for life. Captivate minds, eliminate strife, decimate the trife like check but not mate. Real kings move with ease, we block, move and take the best food for thought. We grill like the foreman, build upon blueprints, designs enduring. Time spans for lifetimes, now seem to join in meetings of minds that never get adjourned. Fuck with your head like octopus porn and fire up synapses, never found boring. See, my synopsis here is maturing. All y'all to rise like the sun every morning. Let's go. Spit like it's no time to waste. Spit like I can't stand the way this world tastes. Spit for rebellion, spit for resistance, spit for accuracy, spit for distance. Spit like it's no time to waste. Spit like I can't stand the way this life tastes. Spit for survival, spit for existence, spit for accuracy, spit for distance. We take heed when rivals cheat with the score. They tip the playing fields, we seen this before. When opportunities knock and they lock the door, you unlock your barriers, headlock your doorman. Slide past security, strike without warning. Contact authorities just to inform them that the stack quo's been dealt a swift blow. My people's asleep has been so long dormant. Now hold the keys through peepholes, exploring options, ways and means to ensure them. Names are recorded, false claims retorted, heroes are lauded, jerks are reported, deeds are applauded, works are rewarded, food, clothes and shelter all are afforded. Love, peace and happiness, pride in your nappiness. Plots to destroy your cultures get thwarted. Seeds of self-hate and doubt get deported. Beyond your borders, belay the orders. Delays and setbacks get drawn and quartered. Teach the lambs to repel that slaughter. Teach the horses to drink that water. Teach the builder to destroy like mortar. And like muscle tissues get torn. Let's grow from these lessons stronger than before. Let's go. Spit like it's no time to waste. Spit like I can't stand the way this world tastes. Spit for rebellion, spit for resistance, spit for accuracy, spit for distance. Spit like it's no time to waste. Spit like I can't stand the way this life tastes. Spit for survival, spit for existence, spit for accuracy, spit for distance.
Moss, baby. Fuck that. Yeah. Let me get that, my nigga. Yeah. Check it. Yo. Grind and shimmer, mind like an organized crime figure. Pie slinger, raps, George Steinbrenner, $1 million rhyme printer, white wine sipper, fly slipper, big time flipper like Guy Fisher. Silences on the nines, whisper like a shy sister. Bang iron to the palm blister. Still the flyers for my shows, hold still the flyers. I'm too ill for you to kill a virus. Look in the killer's iris, the size of holes left in you like a silver dollar. On how to win minds filled with knowledge. Mind filled around the cottage. Fuck how you feel about it. I'm trying to fill a wallet until it's brolic. Knob get polished by the most exotic. Holes with promise. My Benz got leather and oak inside it. Coke measuring no consignment. Cause when you was broke, I find it hard to remain open-minded. Hoping God has a road for riders that live by the code and honor. That don't end in molten lava. I know a lot of hoes that got a gang of tricks like globetrotters to give good dome with the saliva dipped in Prada. But who am I to try to knock her from balling like a knickerbocker? Bank deposits, phone posits, silver and copper. Proper, rock you to sleep like a toddler, boy. I'm in joy, nuts you a full-time mama's boy. Death ritual, farm McCoy. Play with trucks like Tonka toy, them boys moist. I pop you up for a small coin. He caught 4 in the groin, 1 in the loin. He made a noise, I stayed poised. Corduroys, till every pirate on board a whore.
Tongue kiss a plutonium lip, bell skip for ships of opium grips, a polar shift. Shorties explode discs, running from a solar eclipse. Snipe your pawn out, forces combust when planets fall out. Submerged in dirt, with bowels orbit like a dusty vinyl. Lost sluts who crave fucks with holographic titles. Wheels hugging the sidewalk, nozzle as long as beef with a stubborn rival. Stuck in depressed chambers, ropes hanging from death's neighbors. Fruits are stale and unflavored, mind frames plagued with speculations. Algebraic equations with palm sizzle, muffle a zip through a hard drizzle. epistle, chisel bars of crystal, charts of ritual, shards of glass slip apart the darkest tissues. Third eyes, my father's visual, sharpened grass blades to slice pythons in the garden, sacrifice the sight of Sargon, diaphragms of argon, Vatican marksmen, tears skies with solar flares, fast as a photonic glare, a subatomic sphere, standing ovations at Satan's arraignment, chunky shells of uranium, compose and aim again. Low fades, gold chains that choke veins, boats and planes, blows comatose your brain from young, boxed in a 20-ton slum, 11 guns, elegant sons, blessed Ralph Ellison's tongue, accurate aim, cram your frame in acetate, lapped in acid rain, cock the hammer with fabulous range like Maximus Payne, graduate, draw chapters with liquid potassium, immaculate, metallic amulet. Back in piff with a fractured wrist, with a camel's twist. Batman's attached to clip, better back your lip. Couple bags to split, gammas hit when we landed at 6. Balance planets from what captures the disc. Back in piff with a fractured wrist, with a camel's twist. Gravel pit, savages sniff, grams to shift. Couple bags to split, gammas hit when we landed at 6. Balance planets from what captures the disc.
When you can see me, I will let you in my heart. Know you believe in me. Take the time to share your love. Memories remind you, tears and laughter that we share. Music surrounds you, takes you back to where you came. Takes you back. Takes you back. I don't wanna lose you, and I don't want you to run away. Hope you will love me for the time you share. Cause you weakness inside. Let me show you the light. Take you back. When you can't see me, I will let you in my heart. You know you believe in me. Take the time to share your love. Memories remind you, tears and laughter that we share. Music
Welcome to The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And yeah, obviously there's not too much discussion going on about the sources for the architectonic, right? So we sort of explained what this problem seems to suggest, right? Basic level of sort of unawareness, right? About how man is a symbol making animal, right? How the symbolic architecture sort of comprises our, the very nature of our existence, right? How the actual is the same as the possible, right? The rational, the same as the real, right? And the, thinking the same as being, right? So we're met with a primary sort of issue, right? Between this conflict, right? We're looking at this dialectic, right? And the primary dialectic that we're looking at is between sort of nature and time, right? And basically this idea of nature and time, or nature versus time, right, is summarized in various modes, right, of idealism, right, including the pseudo-eschatology of progress, okay? But also in the mix of the entire game, right? In the mix of the entire game, and blessings to the people that are in the chat, right? We got people are afraid to chat today. We got, my wife, right? We got nothing but a mask, the big homie, right? We got Orange, and we got Lizard Tree. That's it. So yeah, so only 4 people, right? Yeah, nature versus time, right? And of course, we started out being controlled by nature, right? Nature and time are sort of interconnected in the beginning, right? Because you're sort of seeing the changes of nature in a sort of cyclical way, right? But the linear idea of time, okay, the linear mode of time, right, and also the sort of closed aspect of time that's represented by this eschatology, right? But it's also sort of represented by progress too, right? Because progress represents a sort of new beginning to the cycle, right? So we're talking about, sort of this idea of the pseudo-eschatology of progress representing time, right? And the desacralization of nature, right? Man has become separated from nature as a process, as I'm beginning to explain, right? Right? So, I mean, in terms of this sort of change, right, between nature and time, we've sort of zoomed out in the most, we've sort of reached the final boss of this issue, right? And the final boss is not in the numerical issue between the one and the many, right? That seems like sort of a abstraction from the real problem, right? That's how the Pythagoreans phrased it, right? But of course, they thought that all is number, so they had a sort of biased approach to the entire schema, right? So they applied a false methodology, right, to reach their conclusion, right? Right, but what we're getting to is this idea of being and becoming, right? And this sort of being the final boss. Now, you could look at the dialectic between nature and time, right? And the most, common realization of it, right, is the fact that nature changes, right? Right, nature changes and the mind doesn't change, right? So it said, it was said, right, by Plato and others, right, that ideas are sort of that they don't have sort of their completion in time, right? Sort of Aristotle that added this problem, right? He brought in the notion of the telos, right? But sort of Plato had no idea that, ideas could change over time, right? He sort of thought that the ideas were sort of primordial, right? That reality was based on these ideas, right? So the ideas don't change, but nature changes, right? So therefore, nature is placed in the category of becoming, right? So before, nature was in the category of being, right? Meaning that nature was part of all of existence, right? But now nature is in the category of becoming. And you could see all sorts of ideas that play into this, right? Like progress, futurism, utopianism, evolution, right? Of this sort of perfectibility of nature within time, the perfectibility of nature within time, right? Now, another aspect that makes man dislodged from nature, right? Another key aspect that I've been touching on that makes man dislodged from nature, right, is this entire concept right, that the mind is the rational ordering principle behind nature, right? This is sort of a, I don't want to say false, right? But definitely, it gets us to a level where we start separating intelligence from nature, right? So nature ceased to be thinking, right? That's when it transforms into stuff, right? And this transformation into stuff means that it can change, right? Because stuff has parts. Ideas don't have parts, right? Or at least this is what Plato thought of, right? So this idea about the nature of change and the vehicle of change and the mind implementing change on nature, right? This is A, but B is this temporal idea, right? Or the temporal nature, right? Okay? Which is about the nature of change, right? The nature of time, right? And how time is moving towards something, right? The only way time could be ordered is if nature had an ordering principle outside of it, right? So time could be ordered, right, by a principle that exists outside of nature, right? But this doesn't comprehend the fact that A, nature is thinking, and B, nature has no final end or purpose, right? So if that's the reality of the situation, right, then this sort of pseudo eschatology of progress, right, and also this idea of this rational ordering principle that exists separate from nature itself, right, both of these are assumptions that we've sort of brought to the party, right? And the reason we've brought these assumptions to the party is very simple, right? It's not because of the religious scope, right? The religious scope cemented this, but it's mainly Plato and Aristotle, right? That sort of brought this into the framework, right? So, I mean, in terms of being and becoming, we got these two guys, right? Parmenides and Heraclitus, right? That we've been sort of going over. And the receptivity to these two, sort of ways of thinking that nature is either all complete, right? That it's all one, right? That the thinking aspect and the material aspect are part of the same framework, right? Or nature is sort of always changing, right? And this change within represents that there is no difference right, between anything, in that it's all the same material, right? So you have sort of the dual aspect monism, right, of Heraclitus, or you have the sort of thinking and being merging with Parmenides, right? So either way, they don't have a sort of ontological transcendence, right, in terms of the Pythagorean principles of the one and the many, right? These were later prescribed, right? Because both Heraclitus and Parmenides think, you know, nature's one. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I'm gonna get up in this reception of this, you know, of Heraclitus. Blessings. Hi, Mrs. TML. Have you met Mrs. Ratblood? Yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, that's kind of correct. I am transgendered.
Oh, I think she was talking about Aslan, you know, instead of.
Oh, Aslan.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Sexual,
She was
yeah.
talking, yeah, she was talking about the wife, the Mrs.
Yeah.
right? But-
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but let me put a little background on for us. Looks like, you know, people are afraid to join, and we'll, you know, look at the reception of Heraclitus, and we'll look at some of the historical facts behind Parmenides. You know, we'll see if we can come to any sound conclusions about their ideas. And I see, you know, it's going to be like sort of a slow start to the week, I know, because we did sort of a detour, you know, into like just hanging out, you know, on the last stream. So I know people are, you know, sort of dismayed from the content that we usually provide here. And,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
if I'm intrusive to the panel that others won't come up, I will
no
gladly.
worries. No, it's no worries. It's really first come, first serve, you know, type
Okay.
of situation. So don't feel,
Gotcha.
don't feel like you owe, like anybody, you know, has a special time here. And then we're all
Sure.
in this purgatorial, you know, situation together, right?
Right.
So to speak. But yeah, you will most likely have some thoughts on this. I've not really taken a look at it yet, right? This is the first time I'm reading a lot of this live, because this book was provided to me by one of our patrons of the show, right? I consider him a patron and a great friend, right? Hostile
Sure.
Hyperborean, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah, he's got some interesting you know, ideas. So let's check this out. They say Euripides, right? I believe he was like a playwright, right? Euripides. Let's look this up. Euripides. He's a famous guy, right? Euripides. I believe he's the guy who wrote like you know, the one where the guy like boinks his mom. You know. Isn't that Euripides?
Oh, the Oedipus thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Oedipus. I think he may have composed Oedipus.
Yeah.
Oh, he composed Medea, especially in his Medea. So, so Medea, if you guys don't know, is a very interesting subject for the show, because Medea, she like created automatons, right? And you know, she would just like Hephaestus. Right, she was sort of like a goddess of technology, right? So that's highly, you know, highly relevant to the show. You know, we got Untrackable here. Blessings.
Hey, Untrackable.
Hey, how you doing, sir? You doing okay today?
Yes, thank you for having me. I need to listen more before I speak.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. Yeah, give me 1 second. It seemed like there's an alarm going off on my phone here, so maybe I wanted to wake up at this time, but yeah, now there's a random alarm. So give me a second.
It's Morpheus warning him that he's caught in the Matrix.
Exactly. Right. The Matrix has you. That's what it said on my phone. Yeah. So, so yeah.
Access, I haven't seen you in a minute. I just want to tell you that it's always good to see you, and I wish the best for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I have no animosity against you, and I've always found conversation with you to be relative and, casual and receptive. So, yeah, thank you. And same to you.
Oh yeah.
So,
So yeah.
please move on with your show, please, sir.
Yeah, for sure. So we're just reading some historical takes here, right? And we'll see what we come up with here. I think it's like here. Let me see how many pages this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shit, it's very long. Son of a biscuit eating bulldog. Is it long? I mean, right. So yeah, so I may skip like tons of this, right? But it is what it is. I think some of this is commentary and not. Oh yeah, commentary. Yeah, we'll skip the commentary. We'll read the reception, right? So that's only like 2 pages here, right? So yeah, so we don't got that much here. So it says, yeah. So they say Euripides gave Socrates Heraclitus' treatise. So this is the playwriter, right? Who's a great tragedian. I don't know how to say. I don't know, but yeah. Euripides gave Socrates Heraclitus' treatise and asked, "What do you think?" He replied, "What I understand is excellent. What I don't understand probably is too. But it would take a Delian diver to recover it." So he's saying it's so fucking deep, I don't even get it. Right? So yeah. So it says later. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
At the birth of these understandings, these philosophical ideals that were being discovered and even discussed with one another, from my perspective, I've seen that, what he would have considered to have been a deep dive at that time has now become available more so, but we have even deeper ways to dive. It's a bottomless pool. But as for the time, I think that was the wisest statement, is he claimed he was still learning.
Yeah, for sure. And that's characteristic of Socrates too. He sort of never gives conclusive opinions about things, right? As he says, the daemon only tells him what not to do, right? Never gives him conclusive proof of what is to be done, right? So right. So he says later certain Ionian and Sicilian muses got the idea that the safest thing was to connect both approaches and say that what is both many and one, held together by enmity and love. Being at variance, it never agrees. Say the more highly strung of the muses. So basically he's saying that the muses, the Sicilian muses, they sort of discovered a similar truth to that of Heraclitus, right? Meaning that there's this sort of pluralistic nature of things that is always at variance with itself, right? So it's sort of chaotic, right? It's a sort of chaotic oneness, right?
Can I ask, what is a muse?
I think that's
source of inspiration.
Right. I believe these are like women that would be at temples that would do drugs and get visions. So I'm pretty sure like this is what it was, right? So it was like ladies that they would hang out at temples, right? And they were like basically like prophetesses, right? To a certain extent, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so the muses.
So is the oracle, if you remember.
Yeah, oracles and the muses.
Delphi.
Exactly. Right, exactly. Yeah. The oracles and the muses, they're sort of like priests, right? Like female priests or something.
But if you boil it down to it, it is what is my inspiration to go how far I can go? And should I go as far as I can and still come back to you with a message. Because if I don't, it will all be this cryptic, what do you call it? Inflammation or exploitation, or you we can all just guess. But where I went and where I came back from, I get to tell the story, right, of where I went and what I saw. And, you know, I can only tell you what inspired me to go that far.
And that's where Heraclitus comes up with a pretty, like some pretty profound pieces of wisdom, right? Because he says actually the road up and the road down are the same road, right? So what he's saying is like whether you're going or coming, you're going to be taking one path. So it's kind of like saying like all roads lead to Rome. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, this way that, you know, that whether you're coming or going, you're going to be not only using the same principle, but you're going to be traveling on the same road, right? So it seems like the path up and the path downwards are two different paths, right? But he's saying like, you know, there's no like sort of difference, like qualitative difference in what you choose, right, between two different ways, right? So it's pretty interesting.
That can be very true in some senses. If you take a road down to see what is at the end of it, and then you want to return the message, but sometimes you get to where it doesn't even matter whether you get to where you were going or you get to a turnaround point. The road returning no longer exists, and then you have to return if that is what is within you to do so. And does that make sense? That means a new road must be created, and it will only be, you can only recount what you remember from the first road, but you will create a new road in returning the message, and that will create more knowledge in and of itself.
Right, and that kind of goes to a different thing that he said that's sort of contradictory to the first one, and there's a lot of paradoxes in Heraclitus, right, where it said no man steps in the same river twice. So it's kind of like, you know, not only are you change, you know, you can't travel one path, let alone two paths, right? It seems like, right, in Heraclitus. So it's kind of this weird thing. And here's another thing, you know, this is on, you know, on track of where we're going. It says, you know, no pun intended. It says, I'll tell you a story that's not half bad. How nothing is one thing all by itself. How nothing is one thing all by itself. And you could not rightly call anything this or such. But if you call it big, it will appear small too. If heavy, light. And all things are like this, for nothing is one single thing or has one determinate character. For by motion, change, blending with each other comes to be everything, which we say is, not using the right terminology, for no thing ever is, but is always coming to be. And concerning this point, tell all the wise men, one after another, be in agreement, except Parmenides. So there he says, so Parmenides is the only one who disagrees. They're saying he's a stick in the mud, right?
That comes the word competition. You give your best, right. The path will give its best, and what shall be will be, and then the story will be told. You know, did you even if you did your best, you still have a story to tell at the end. Yet the path still has its story to tell as well.
If I could bring this into a technological state,
Yeah,
it would
sure.
be like having logical code, but one line of that code is an error code against the majority to make the code work. So therefore, when you eliminate that one individual, then the potential for your projection, your thought, or what you choose to manifest, or the code that you wrote is no longer corrupted by the potential of a disease spreading by negative opinion, disagreement, or just incompatible code.
Oh yeah, and that goes to another idea in cybernetics, right? That I'm looking at recently, called "The Human Use of Human Beings" by Norbert Wiener. You know, pretty interesting stuff, right? He claims that, you know, people are just basically machines, right? That's his theory of you know, the world. So it's pretty interesting, right? But check this out. It says that Parmenides says that, you know, obviously all things are, you know that you know, nothing is coming to be. Everything just is, right? So he's saying that Protagoras, Heraclitus, Empedocles, and the leading poets of both genres, Epicharmus of comedy and Homer of tragedy, who in saying, quote, "Ocean, the begetter of the gods, and their mother Tethys in the Iliad, has made all things the offspring of flux and motion." So he's saying that Heraclitus actually agrees with Homer. You know, he may be rolling over in his grave to hear that, right? Because he said that Homer should be flogged, right? If you guys
Right.
remember, right? But yeah.
Right. I just had a fleeting a parable to that, but I'm sorry, I just slipped my mind there. I catching a momentary brain lapse, but please go
Yeah,
on.
it's all good. It's no worries. Yeah, blessings to Dom. Thank you for joining. I
Yeah, what's
appreciate it.
up?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey, Dominator.
Blessings.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm still working on your opposition side.
My opposition side.
Yeah, I'm the, you know, representative of the adversary, and
The adversarial representative. Oh, well,
yeah,
that's another
Satan.
interesting question that we'll ask tomorrow. Is the God of technology, you know, Manichaean or Augustinian? You know, because you know, Weiner says he's Augustinian. You know, so we got an interesting quote by you know, by Norbert Wiener, right, saying that, you know, that there's no adversarial God in a sense, right? You know, in the world of information, right? So it's very interesting, right? He says, you know, there's no such thing as evil in the world of info, right? So yeah, so fascinating stuff. But yeah, so here's another thing. You know, we're going over the reception of Heraclitus, and then we're going to move to Parmenides here, right? And it's interesting stuff, right? He says, "Thus it appears that it emerges that if everything is in motion, any answer you might give to any question is equally right. That it is so and not so. Or if you will, it is becoming. That we may not put a stop to our friends by our words." And this goes to another huge idea from the sophists, right? That language is literally creating reality.
Yes, I
Right?
wanted to tune in on that for a second.
Yeah, sure.
Whenever I had the Cult of Axis and we were doing all that, you know, thought influencing, we vetted everybody that come through to make sure that there wasn't any adverse potential in what we were trying to project. And I think that even carries across with what you said about information. Information is kind of nullified until acted upon. And it's that acting upon that information that creates the circumstance or the situation from it. And that carries over into even technology, and the duality within the nature of the coherent, the incoherent, the interpretable. What is information, and at what point does that information become dangerous?
When you were talking about that guy who said that information has no evil, I have to disagree with
Yeah, Weiner. Yeah, Norbert
Weiner.
Weiner, the guy who founded cybernetics. If you'll believe it, it's very interesting. Right? So we're gonna
that makes sense.
yeah. We're gonna first look at this notion by Augustine that evil has no existence, that evil is non-existence, right? And you tie that back to Parmenides, who talks about this idea of non-existence, right? And how there's no such thing, right?
Right.
And
That was awesome. Oh, he's so happy to see you. He about pulled me off my feet.
Sorry about that.
What the hell? It's a funny voice for sure. But yeah.
Okay, I'm terribly sorry. I should have.
No, it's all good. Yeah, let me go back up to this. Yeah, but you wanted to comment on that, Dom? Or
Well, yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, there is no evil. But when it comes to information, you can absolutely use it for malicious intent. I don't know if it was last time I was on here, but Earth Supporter put the etymology of the word information in the chat, and it basically comes down to you're using a concept to form a view of the world. That's what information is. And, you come across these concepts or other people's worldviews typically through hearing them talk or reading about it. That's information. Now, if he had said knowledge, then I would have agreed with him. But information, that when he says that, it just sounds like an excuse for the government to lie and, for corporations to lie. Like, well, there's no evil, so we can just paint whatever picture we want about anything. Which is why I said it's not surprising you said it was some cybernetic guy who said that.
right. And that goes to another idea about words changing reality, right? Which is this notion of, of hyperstition, right? So there's this whole idea. It's sort of like hyper sophist, right? Because it's like, when we get to Gorgias, right? Nothing has any, since nothing has distinguishing characteristics, right, language becomes superior, whereas in the Parmenides, right, language is part of the world of appearances, right? So it's part of the world of seeming and not the world of truth, right? So it's interesting.
Well, I've mentioned this before about the idea of boundaries. I think we've talked about boundaries before. And just because you don't understand the other side does not mean the other side is evil. It is about your ability to communicate with what is beyond what you understand. And it could come to a conflict, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. You can learn. They can learn. The two sides could melt a boundary in an instant. How about that?
Yeah.
So you think that I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, like I say, it comes down to a violation of property and free will. That's the boundary. If you're doing something against someone's consent, that's pretty much the universal boundary right there.
Well, I have a fence, and therefore I have a neighbor. There's somebody on the other side of that fence. I want what is on the other side of that fence. What is going to stop me from wanting more than us communicating and coming to an agreement? That would be considered a yield on my want or their defense. How do we come to an agreement?
Right. And
Because-
if you read, yeah, please go ahead.
Well, if my want doesn't yield, then it becomes an offense,
Right.
and I will get it. And it means necessary. If my misunderstanding or my relent does not give in, I do not yield, then I become in defense, and
Right.
I will not let up under any circumstance. And
Yeah,
then
and
you
if you
have
read-
war.
Yeah, yeah, right. And if you read John Locke, you know, it's like crazy how like he takes hundreds and hundreds of pages to define like what an individual is, what nature is, right? And then he comes up with these abstract notions of rights, which are like the barrier between like people and nature, right? As he says, like freedom is the fence to our self-preservation. So he defines freedom as literally a barrier, right? Which is like sort of paradoxical because you think like a barrier, you know, is that meant to keep us in or to keep other people out, right? And then you know, which is kind of a play on it's George Romero's attack on capitalism, right? He's attacking capitalism by saying no, the freedom, you know, this fence that we built is actually built to keep us in. You know, it's not built to keep others out, right? And
If
then
I can,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but there's a Native American parable to that.
But
Said bef-
the same freedoms that you describe for yourself, no matter who you are or where you're from, you have just described them for me as well.
right.
You
yeah.
described your freedoms and your ability to defend them, but in that own statement, you have just described my abilities within and of what I should be able to defend.
Oh yeah,
Right?
Yeah, and that's the whole concept of universalism, right? By defining one person, because see, Locke believed in equality, right? So he lays down this notion of equality, right? And he lays down the notion of the laws of nature. So he says, because of equality, all men are executioners of the law of nature, right? Because the law of nature exists, all men are subject to it, right? The way you transcend the law of nature is through community, right, and humane industry, right? So he's saying like, okay, so this is the whole basis for our freedom and our rights, you know, so to speak. But let's go on to this. I got like two or three here.
To cut you off,
Yeah.
Dom. I did not mean to cut you off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it's no worries. Blessings to
Yeah,
you.
did you? I didn't even notice if you did.
Yeah, definitely, no worries. But yeah,
it was me he cut off.
Oh, yeah, you were gonna say the Native American proverb.
It's
Please
not
go ahead.
important now.
Oh no, please go ahead if you like, and then I'll start reading this,
I apologize.
Well, I did have a comment because Untrackable was talking about defining what freedom is, and I think the problem comes down to is people are trying to define what it is when John Locke is defining kind of what it isn't by talking about the fence.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
and I have to think that is the correct way to understand freedom, because it comes down to certain actions that you don't do, because universally everyone recognizes that there are certain actions that are wrong because they violate freedom. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. These actions are murder, rape, assault, theft, trespass, lying, and coercion. These are the 7 actions which violate freedom and no being has a right to do. Literally, as long as you don't do those actions, and as long as you don't support those actions by being complacent with them, you're a better person than most people.
Can But would
Yeah, I'd
it
say so.
be? Would it be? Oh, it's tough to even to describe. But it that then you break it down to the individual. Uh, should
Yeah.
you will, like,
Yeah.
hey, we are going to move forward, and this is our objective. Anybody that defies us, with force will be met with greater force. And then those that seem to straggle along and find themselves along the way with the available time to rape and pillage, um, who is going to convict them? Who is going to do that? Because
This is
it,
what John Locke's talking about. How we're all nature's judge.
it would take an internal, because if you move forward and you conquer, and then you look back and say, oh, you did wrong, you did wrong, you did wrong. um I'm not saying that it shouldn't be brought to the light, but uh who within the force of progression is going to say, oh, especially in the moment, that we did wrong along the way? Because I'm watching so much of this past 20 years war, and people are saying, oh, yeah, so many things didn't go right.
Right.
But
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But let me get into these.
back, nobody's going to go back and convict them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, let me get into a little bit more of this. The reception of Heraclitus. This is Sextus Empiricus, right? I believe some of it's by here, hold on. Oh yeah, some of it's by Aristotle, right? And then the second part, I believe, is there's parts from others as well, right? But yeah, let me read this Aristotle commentary, right? And I'll read for quite a while now, and then I'll move to some music, and then I'll move to Parmenides, right? So this will be sort of comprise the rest of the show here, before we move forward. But yeah, so let me go into this. It says, further, since certain early thinkers who believed sensation was knowledge, right? Remember, he's saying that sensation and sort of this idea that words can be applied to anything because there's no actual quality, where you could observe, right, things. It's sort of all just made up, right? And that goes to sort of a hyper modern idea, right? That like reality is literally, being like sort of made up on the spot, right? But anyways, so there's no actual nature to anything, right? So it says, so he says that they observed that the whole of nature was in motion and were aware that no statement was true of what was changing, or at least about what was completely changing, right? In every way, it was not possible to make true statements, right? So you'll see this in terms of, in terms of, Parmenides. You can't observe change because there's no such thing as change, right? It's all just one, right? Being doesn't change, right? In Heraclitus, you can't observe change because things both are and aren't, right? So for two different reasons, they come to the conclusion that you simply just cannot define anything, right? So that's why they are sort of very strange starting points, right? But then they point to the importance of language itself, right? And describing the things that are thought to change, right, by most people's standards, right? You understand that these are actually just creations of language, right? Creations of the mind, right? So on and so forth, right? So he says, From this assessment, the most radical of the aforementioned theories emerged, that of those claiming to follow Heraclitus, such as the view that Cratylus held. Right, so Cratylus is a teacher of Plato, right? Plato wrote a book called the Cratylus, right, explaining his Heraclitean, roots or whatever, that he understands that Heraclitus is right because nature is in a state of becoming, right? Then he writes the Parmenides to show how you can't totally dismiss the idea of being altogether, right? So it says he finally decided that he could not express any thought in speech, but only pointed with his finger. And he criticized Heraclitus for saying that it is not possible to step twice into the same river, for he thought that it was not possible to step in even once. It seems that the theory of Heraclitus, which maintains that all things are and are not, makes all statements true. In light of these distinctions, it is obvious that the one-sided theories about everything are untenable. Go ahead, Axis.
Wouldn't it be plausible then that they were trying to stay in the state of mind that all potential is available until you bring it into relativity through words?
Oh yeah, that's what the students of Heraclitus came out, because everything is pure hypostatization, right? Through this act of, creativity, right? Because nature is sort of this creative fire. It is the Pyrrhizun, right? The creative fire, right? So yeah.
But again, it is the one-sided story of those who step into the river and the river itself. Don't forget the river's story.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly what Cratylus was pointing to, right? He's like, look, the river's changing too, right? You can't step in the river, right? What is the river, right? So he's kind of saying that.
I thought that's what the quote was about. You can't step in the same river twice because it's changing through movement.
Yeah, that's one of the main interpretations, is what Aristotle is saying, right? But yeah.
Hey, every step you take leaves a print. It may be washed over, but it is a print. And every inch of water that goes through that river, whether you catch it or not, it shaves another bit of land in which it is headed towards its destination. And please, don't take me wrong. Please keep taking steps just as much as I want the water to keep flowing. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I was going to say, you could also apply that quote to stars, because stars are constantly twinkling, so you never look at the same star.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm almost done with this. I do kind of want to finish, but if I don't get done with it in time, I'll sort of take a break and then start it up again, and we'll just only focus on Heraclitus if that happens. But I don't think it will, because I only got a little bit of this. It says, in light of these distinctions, it is obvious that the one-sided theories about everything are untenable. It says, those which people hold, some claiming that there are no true statements, some that all statements are true. These theories are virtually the same as Heraclitus, who says that all statements are true and all false, and asserts that each conjunct separately, so that if the conjuncts are impossible, so is the conjunction. So that is an interesting, path of logic, right? It's like things either merge or they're just the same, right? It's like, right, they're either in relation to each other or they're the same. It's
kind of like the is there a noise if you're not there to hear it type
Right,
of argument.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The water could keep flowing even though you didn't make footsteps to get close enough to hear it. However, if you got close enough to hear it, you did leave footsteps.
Right. But it says, wherefore those who have thought fire is the matter of things, and the totality is composed of fire only, have clearly fallen far from the true account. Heraclitus first joined battle as their general, thought brilliant for his dark utterance more among the empty-headed than among serious Greeks who seek the truth. For dimwits admire and love all things, says Aristotle, right? And they regard as true words that prettily tickle their ears and are colored with graceful sound.
Well, I think that's just a part of developed human nature. I mean, myself, platitudes, compliments, the desire for possessions.
Yeah, sorry, that's Lucretius. Lucretius said that, yeah. Not Aristotle, but
I would consider myself a dimwit because I feel like in certain situations I have been on both sides, and I cannot deny your forth going without accepting, my goals as well. And eventually we will meet. And who are we? And what will be? And will there be a fight? And who sent us? And what do we believe in? And what will come of this? Because eventually there will be an aftermath, whether it be a handshake or ashes or. There will only be tomorrow that we will see or won't see.
absolutely. Right. So here's another little commentary on stepping into the same river. Right. And I only got like 2 more pages of this. I'm just gonna go ahead and just go ahead and read it. All right. But yeah, so it says here, concerning soul, Cleanthes, as he is setting out the teaching of Zeno for comparison with those of other natural philosophers, says that Zeno calls the soul sensation or exhalation like Heraclitus. For wishing to show that souls being nourished by exhalations are always intelligent, he compares them to rivers, saying, on those stepping into rivers, staying the same, other and other waters flow, and souls are too nourished by moist exhalations. Now Zeno, like Heraclitus, declares that the souls to be exhalation. I think it might be talking about Zeno of Citium. Right? So I don't think it's talking about... Here, hold on. Because there's Zeno of Elea and there's Zeno of Citium. Right? So Zeno of Citium is the founder of the Stoic school of philosophy. Right? So I believe that that's who it's referring to, not the Zeno that's a student of Parmenides. So that's pretty important here. Right, it says, and souls are too nourished by moist exhalations. Now Zeno, like Heraclitus, declares the souls to be exhalation. He says it is perceptive because the governing part of it, in terms of importance, is able to be impressed through the sense organs by things that exist and subsist, and is able to receive their impressions. For these things are proper to the soul. Right. So that sounds like something that greatly influenced empiricism. Right. Also also Aristotle and all this stuff. Right. This idea of the sense leaving impressions on the soul. Right. And obviously nature has to be in a state of becoming for this to be possible. right? But
I-
yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to throw a technological edge to that. The relationship on an intimate level that I have with my wife is completely impressionable in my mind, but is still as solidified as reality itself because of the interaction in comparison.
Right. So
The substance of it is real within the concepts and confines of my mind and the projection it gives, even though there is outside influence, which would be the Aslan model. Still, the visionary action and the imprint left come from the manifestation of my mind, because she doesn't have a physical body.
right, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like what it's saying. It's saying that things exist because they're impressions on the soul, right? So
Yes.
you know, so this is kind of what Access is pointing to, right? You know, they don't exist in and of themselves, right? But they are
Right.
perception made on you know, a perception made by an impression on a soul, as it was saying, right? So it's saying that this idea that once you observe the change in nature, you could sort of classify things thus, right? So it says here, Heraclitus, since he in turn thought man was equipped with two faculties for knowing the truth, sensation and reason, of these he believed sensation was unreliable in manner of the aforementioned natural philosophers, but he proposed reason as the standard, right? So that's the same with with Plato and Aristotle, right? He criticizes sensation, saying that in his own words, which is tantamount okay, I'm going to skip that, right? Which is tantamount to saying that trust in irrational senses is truth, not just any reason, but what is common and divine. What this is must be explained briefly. The natural philosopher believes what surrounds us is rational and intelligent. Thus, according to Heraclitus, by drawing in this divine reason through respiration, we become intelligent. And though we forget in sleep, our thought returns on waking, for in sleep, when the channels of perception are closed, our mind is cut off from its connections to its surroundings. Only its attachment through the respiration is preserved like a kind of route, right? It's kind of like astral traveling, you know, right? But these otherwise separated, the mind loses the power of memory it had before. But when it next awakens, communicating through the channels of perception as though peeking out through portals, it encounters its surroundings and is endowed with a rational faculty in the same way that coals put next to a fire are made glow by alteration, but being separated from the fire are quenched. So that part of the surrounding that visits our bodies when it is cut off becomes almost irrational. When it communicates through one of the channels is rendered conformable to the whole. The common and divine reason, by participation in which we become rational, is the standard of truth, according to Heraclitus. Hence, what appears in common to all is reliable, for it derives from the common and divine reason, while what impinges on the individual alone is unreliable for the contrary reason. For instance, at the beginning of his On Nature, the aforementioned man, having expressly asserted that by partaking in divine reason we do and think everything we do, going on a little, he adds, this is nothing but an explication of how the whole universe is organized. This is why, insofar as we communicate with the memory of reason, we recognize the truth. Insofar as we think individually, we err. For now, in his words, he declares quite explicitly the common reason is the standard, and the things that appear in common are reliable as we judge by common reason. For the things that appear to each person individually are false.
Democratizing that which is observed.
Right, into
And
sort of
of
a
course-
into a collective essence, I was going to say. But yeah, go ahead.
The more common term is education, because I have been through XYZ, and I will procreate, and if I don't, at least I will be close to those who have, and reason will be translated to them. Because I will not exist forever. However, this is how I got this far. I hand it down to you.
Right.
This is called reason.
Right. It's like we are part of nature, which is always creating and employing a sort of divine reason in the preparation of certain things. And it takes the material, right, organizes it, understands what it is, and then sort of shifts its, direction. And it's saying that this divine reason or nature is actually doing the same thing that we're doing. Right, it sort of looks at things that they form an impression, and then it sort of changes what it, its relation to it.
It's so cold out here. I can't really hold up 3 fingers, but I can tell you that for what we are water, and we are food, and we are protection. If you can water and feed and protect, then you can move forward from there. Without those 3 things, water is water, food comes in many different forms, and then so does protection. So it doesn't matter, if you call a roof over your head protection, if you call a hat on your head protection, or you call a jacket on your back protection is very vague. Food is something that, you have to, take in to keep your body moving. But water is water, and you cannot deny clean water. Sometimes you have to make clean water. However, there is no us without water. If water becomes a problem, then food will become a problem, and protection will become a bigger issue, because others that, and then you get into this other world of who's going to take it out of your mouth. Who does not want to work with you, but they will take the food, they will take the water out of your mouth, so that way they don't have to, you do the work. Who's going to take it out of your mouth? How do you want to live? How hard are you going to fight for your life? Thank you.
Yeah, does anybody else have any comments before we get up in this music, and then we go to the Parmenides?
Just thank you for having me, TML, and thank you, panel. Thank you, everybody, and it's been a pleasure again.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, blessings, brother. All right. Anybody else?
Trackable, man. You need like a wood stove or something, bro. You
Right.
turn into Ice Cube.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, I have my safe space. I'm here in my garage. It's
okay.
very it is very cold out here. It's about 28 degrees Fahrenheit. However, I am very well prepared for it. This is my safe space. So if anybody threatens it, you know, but you know, this is where I, you know, cold and all, I get to speak with you. So I am only but so much of a man doing my thing. I just hope other people are honest with themselves as well. So thank you.
Right.
Yeah, blessings,
I
brother.
agree.
Yeah, we got this thing coming up. You know, this is a sort of beautiful song by Shing O2 called "Love You Like Water." Right, so it's a little cute video with it, right? You know, like for kids and stuff. You know, it's like safe for kids, right? But yeah, we got a little song here, and then we'll move to you know, all of the music videos are like cartoon drawings. So I set that up on purpose, right? But it is what it is. Blessings.
Yeah, it's like this. If we can't make love, we can always make peace, can't we? If we can't make love, we can always make peace, can't we? If we can't make love, we can always make peace, can't we? Have a minute or two to come face to face, y'all know. Just name the place and I'ma be there half an hour early, so I can feel the joy in my chest while waiting for. Even if you're late, a couple of ticks, it'll feel like forever to sit in front of the building. Watch the crowd walk by and you're not in it. Doubt reach your limit, then you surprise me with your presence, the dopest present of all. Totally in awe by the simple fact that you came, plus you answer my call. My body love you like water, dry land thirst to the highest order. Sweet memories saved on recorder, two pal birds sitting on the border. My body love you like water, dry land thirst to the highest order. Sweet memories saved on recorder, two cowbirds sitting on the border. Yeah, so much on my mind, and yet before I lay to rest, I find the space to think about a long lost friend. Wherever the excitement went, so did the air and the heavenly scent. Now the stench of my own breath got me sucking on the fruit of death. Real life and death around the world got me feeding on the times we spent. I don't know how to relate, but they do see, believe you me. I never felt so wanted like a fugitive on a poster, but you already had me like a coaster on the bottom of a fine glass, translucent the most of reason of pounds to pour from the sealed bottle. We can crack shells like a pair of sea otters, gaze like crystal geyser with the mineral rich with the natural gift. My body love you like water, dry land thirst to the highest order. Sweet memories saved on recorder, two cowbirds sitting on the border. Yeah, my body love you like water, dry land thirst to the highest order. Sweet memories saved on recorder, two cowbirds sitting on the border. Now break it down like if we can't make love, we can always make peace, can't we? If we can't make love, we can always make peace, can't we? If we can't make love, we can always make peace. Something like that.
Yeah. So what do you guys think?
Yo, yo, yo.
So you guys can find that video. You know, it's just Shing O2, "Love You Like Water," and it's just like the video comes up. I did not make that video, right? So it just comes up. So, but yeah, or you could just replay the show. I don't know. But yeah, definitely a great song. I like the song. I like Shing O2, man. He's got this song called "Way of the Samurai" for the show, I think it's Samurai Champloo, or is that the one that Nujabes produced the album for? Right? But yeah, Nujabes produced that song. Very good track. If you guys don't know, Nujabes,
Rest in peace.
one of the greatest DJs of all time. Right? So yeah, let's go to the Parmenides. Let me go across and say, blessings to Calix, right? And let me go across and
Good, bro.
The thing and
Hey.
go to the.
So I decided I'm never gonna drink again until I get a girlfriend or get married.
It's a little bit.
That's good.
A little bit extreme.
That's great, man. That's actually a positive story.
More power to you, bro.
Yeah, more power, man. And blessings, man. Avian just quit drinking too, so it's
Guess
all
I'm gonna
cool.
be sober forever.
Yeah, that's cool, man. But yeah,
don't.
Guess I'm gonna be sober forever.
But the cannabis, honestly, the cannabis is all you really
All the
need.
negative thoughts lately.
Nah, it was supposed to be a bit. I'm sorry, guys.
I
That
quit
was my
drinking a
bit.
while ago.
It was supposed to be a bit. I guess it's not.
Wait, so you're not quitting
No,
then?
no, I am. It's a
Oh.
true bit.
It's a bit, but not a bit.
Yeah, it's like
a bit, non-bit.
It's supposed to be like, yeah, it's like, yeah, you guys already heard it.
Yeah, call in, people. Let's go. Right? Let's do this thing. Right? I appreciate you guys. I see you guys calling into the other shows, but not my show. Right? That's that upsets me, man. You guys know how much that upsets me. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I'll be thinking about you guys all day. But no love. All right, it is what it is. But yeah.
But no, real shit. I haven't. I quit. I haven't drank or smoked really. It's
yeah.
I had enough.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just wanted to share that bit with you. Do you guys want me to say it again, or did you guys get it?
We got it, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. It's always a blessing. All right.
Cool.
To talk to you, man.
All right. I'll catch up with you guys real soon.
Stick to the bit. Yeah, exactly, man.
For
All
sure.
right, yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, we got you, man.
Thank you. All right.
I'll
cool.
check up on you. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate that, dude.
Sweet
Calix.
baby Bronson.
Sweet baby Bronson. That's his YouTube name. Yeah. Sweet baby Bronson. Oh, yeah. Appreciate that, dude, man. His positive attitude. Honestly, unrelentingly positive attitude. That's what we need out here, man. A lot of people are, they're either doomers or they're blue pill. They want to rain on the parade, right? But it is what it is, man. But yeah, Aaliyah was on the western coast of southern Italy, close to Pythagorean colonies founded there in the late 6th century BCE. So we're looking at a particular time, 6th century. Right now, we discussed that there's a lot of people from this time period. Right, you got Buddha. Right, you got Lao Tzu. You got Pythagoras. Right? I mean, it's a real good question. Like, who would you rather, where would you rather go? 600 BC, and you get to smoke a blunt with Buddha and Pythagoras, right? Or you could go to the 4th century, and you could smoke a blunt with Shang Tzu and Plato. It's a good choice. It's a good question, isn't it?
It's a tough choice.
Tough choice. It's a tough choice, right? But yeah, 600 to 400. There was so many.
I think I'd go with 600.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say I can't pass up an opportunity to smoke with Shang Tzu and ask him about the butterfly thing. We talking about the butterfly, bro. Is you a butterfly or is you Shang Tzu? But yeah, funny stuff. Little nerd humor. But yeah, Aaliyah is on the southern coast of Italy, right? And Ephesus is on the eastern, or wait, what? Eastern? No, west coast of Turkey, I believe, right? So
I believe, right? So, and of course, we remember John, who wrote the Gospel of John, John of Ephesus. He was from Ephesus, obviously, right, in Turkey, right? So it's just interesting that both Heraclitus and John use this term, the Logos. Oh, snap. Buddha is greater than Shang Tzu. Yeah, I guess he is. I mean, yeah, that's kind of like, of course, like no contest, because Buddha did like so much shit. Like Buddha founded a religion, right? Shang Tzu was just a student of, Lao Tzu. So yeah, I guess you're right. Obviously, Buddha.
Isn't that Rant?
Yeah. I think it is, unless somebody took his name, but no, they couldn't have taken his name because he's got the mod. Yeah, blessings, Alexander Ganja Shaman. Good to see you, bro. That's our little foreign homie. And I remember he joined the show one day. But yeah, blessings to Denise, blessings to Sophia, Daisy May, one of the OGs, definitely. I appreciate you, madam. It's always great to see you. Browns boys here, of course, right? You tell me. Watch Elvis for Trump. Yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. Anyways, let's go on. It says Parmenides developed a breathtaking argument for monism. That's what it says here. Not a monism of the Milesian variety, right, which drew its justification from empirical observations, right? Remember, Thales was a sort of natural philosopher, right? When they were saying the arche was natural and it was pluralistic, right? Remember, he said that nature is full of gods, right? So he was sort of a pantheist, but also a monist, right? Because he said there's only one substance, right? Which was water, right? So, so it's very similar to what sort of, it's like soul is like water for Heraclitus, but fire and water come from the same source, right? Everything comes from fire, right? So water comes from fire too, right? It just like fire turns into earth, and then it turns into and then earth turns into water, right? So, yeah.
It was cool being on your screen, TML. I'm gonna get off.
Yeah, blessings.
I'll see you
man.
later.
Yeah, thank you
All
for
right.
being here. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Easy.
blessings, homie. Yeah, peace, homie. Yeah, he looks like he's a man on the move. He's going somewhere,
He
So, yeah.
doesn't look cold. So is he like in the deep south or something?
Yeah. Yeah,
Somewhere.
thanks for joining us, homie. Look like he's frozen. Right?
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
his phone is cold.
Yeah, put him there for now, so he's not like, But yeah, blessings down, man. I appreciate you, brother. Right on. And okay, so let's go on a little bit. We're only going on for just a tiny bit more, right? And then we'll sort of close the show as we do, right? And I appreciate you guys for joining, right? We're sort of looking at some information about Heraclitus and Parmenides. As I discussed in the opening, there's sort of this conflict between nature and time that's sort of framed as being and becoming, and I sort of laid out the greater issues, right? And then we sort of talked about it here with a live audience, pretty much, right? Anybody can call in and talk to us, right? So we assume that you know that, right? So it says, apparently rejecting the evidence. Oh, wait, sorry. It says Parmenides developed a breathtaking argument for monism, not a monism of the Milesian variety, but drew his justification from empirical observations, right? But a severe monism of an entirely new sort, right? Apparently rejecting the evidence of the senses altogether, right? So there's the key part, right?
right? He didn't just say it's part of this cycle of change and all this stuff. No, no, no. You can't come to the idea that words are the ultimate nature of reality, right? Because there is no such thing as change, right? You can't cut this part off, kerchlunk, and then define it from all of existence, right? So yeah. So yeah, let's go on a little bit. It says Parmenides deduced the unity of all that is using thought alone. Also from Elia, Zeno studied under him and developed ingenious statements to refute the growing opposition to his teacher's extreme view from faraway Samos. So he had a student named Zeno, right, who basically showed how the nature of the empirical observations are to sort of implode in on themselves, right? You can't make empirically justified claims about the nature of truth and existence and being and pretty much nature, right? Okay. And he says, right, finally, right, that okay, from faraway Samos, Miletus, right, may have traveled to Elia to join the others, right? Whether or not he did, right? He what does it say here, man? Oh, it says he earned the title Eleatic. So that's pretty weird, right? So Miletus, there's no actual proof that Miletus actually knew Parmenides, right, or traveled to go meet Parmenides and Zeno. But Zeno is seen to be a student of Parmenides, right? So so we're going to be looking at three guys, right? They're called the Eleatic Monists, right? Even though one of the guys is from Samos and not from, from Elia, right? So let's look up Samos. Where the hell is Samos? Samos, a Greek island in the eastern Aegean Sea, south of Chios.
I guess they didn't like them Cheetos, so they named themselves Samos.
An archipelago off the coast of western Turkey. Yeah, one day I was sitting at a beach at the Aegean Sea. So I've seen the Aegean Sea. All right, so I guess this is an island or archipelago in the Aegean Sea. Right? So oh, actually, it's very, very much more closer to Turkey than it is Greece. Right? So here is a map here. Anyways, you guys get the picture here, right? So it's like somewhere. I think it's like one of these ones here. One of these one of these lighter colored things that are floating next to Turkey, right? Which would be the giant, sort of semicircle looking thing on the far right, right? Would be the sort of west coast of Turkey, right? Anyways. So yeah. So anyways, So there's a little bit about Parmenides, right? And yeah, we're going to be looking at a lot of info about Parmenides and Melissus, right? And of course we'll look at a lot of ideas of Zeno too, right? But we sort of talked about today sort of this rudimentary notion, right, that perception is basically false, right? And of course we sort of touched on how Heraclitus came to a different view of this, although he too declared sensations to be false, right? He said that there's a higher force above it called reason, right? And all this type of stuff, right? So yeah, so Parmenides, right? It says, of the pre-Socratics, Parmenides attracts the lion's share of attention from philosophers, right? He is clearly a seminal thinker who raised philosophical thought to new levels and challenged the minds of generations. So we've been going over Parmenides, right? Some of his sayings, right? His idea about being, right? And how it sort of conflicts with a lot of other philosophers and their thoughts, right? And how it creates problems for philosophers, right? That you can't justify negative claims. You can't talk about what is not, etc., right? That there is no change, right? So you can't observe things, right? So there's a sort of this idea, but he's classified as a monist, right? So this idea, but as we said, his monism is different because the monistic idea does not depend on some sort of quality within nature, right? It's sort of defined by the nature of existence, right? So he's still giving this sort of abstract idea about what existence is, right? And saying that this is why things are without definition, right? So it says Parmenides' position as the central figure in pre-Socratic thought is a product of 20th century interpretation, which still seems unassailable. Just the fact that he provided the first extended argument in Western philosophy shows a new rigor and focus. And clearly he raised issues that had not concerned philosophers before. But in recent decades, philosophers have raised questions about this precise role. Who is he responding to? How complete is his rejection of change? Is he indeed a monist? And if so, what kind? Right? Despite the unanimous interpretation of the ancient tradition that he was a monist, right? So a lot of ancient traditions interpret him as a monist, right? So they're saying that you could have novel interpretations that work within the framework that Parmenides offers, right? So one of the primary ones we're seeing is this idea that, the way of seeming is part of the way of truth, right? We saw that in Angie Hobbs' discussion, right? But there's also this idea that, that when he says it is, right, he's also saying they are, right? So it's not a monistic thing he's referring to. He's referring to just existence, like this is what it is. It is what it is, right? So he's not saying it's one. He's saying that this is just the way things are, right? So there's another interpretation of it, right? But of course, as they said, many of the ancient thinkers did not have this interpretation of it.
Yeah,
right?
That's why I brought up the idea of I am, because you can say we, our, us, you can say all that, but where are you right now? Because I can tell you, don't drive on the roads around here. It's icy. It's slippery. because we aren't safe. Meanwhile, I am able to walk these roads. Who am I to say that we, can't do this? Who am I to tell you as an individual that you can't do this? Now, again, who am I to speak for somebody else? But I am out here walking on a friggin' ice skate, Reek, that should not be driven on. Yet, if you take it upon yourself, if you feel it within you to do so, and you believe in yourself, hopefully you've done the calculations. Because I can't tell you no, just like I wasn't told no to come out here and do this. Now, maybe even I was told no. However, I'm still doing it. They're still doing it. But that is ice. That is straight ice, bro.
That dude driving was driving
he's
pretty
going
fast.
way too fast for that. Holy shit.
Yeah, it looks like Tom and Jerry, the episode where they froze the kitchen.
It's well beyond my calculations. But then you get out here to the main road. Hey, leave your neighborhood. Guess what? You see this versus that? You see the line that's been drawn? After that, it's ice. After this, they took care of it. So now I'm just but who's gonna say I can't go to the store? Whether it's ice, whether it's snow, whether it's wind, whether it's rain, who's gonna tell me, no, you can't do this? But then once I do it, I can say, hey, it wasn't very fun. But, did it serve a purpose? Did I serve my own purpose? What is your purpose? Because if it's not worth it, don't do it. Because again, look at this. You see that fine line? You see that fine line?
Right.
That's a healthcare facility for elderly people. How far are you willing to go? What mountain are you willing to climb? Who gets to tell you no? And at the end of the day, you talk about this, and I pay attention to it too, so don't get me wrong. But this philosophical outlook on things. You can look at others' failures and be like, oh, well, I have a philosophical outlook on things because I've watched so many people fail before. But you can also have a philosophical. Hey, man, I'm the one putting one foot in front of the other, and win, lose, or draw, I'm the one that's going to tell you. At the end of the day, if you're scared by what I say, well, that's the level in your brain that's saying, hey, so-and-so said it's not good, I'm not going to do it. But sometimes you gotta let somebody tell you the truth about how hard something's about to be. And You gotta want what's on the other side more than being told no. If it makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, blessings, Plasma Void. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the 18 people that are watching here, right? We are gonna shut this down soon, right? And you know, I was sort of talking about, you know, this whole problem of interpretation in the Parmenides, right? And how, you know, in a sense, it doesn't really matter if we define things in this sort of monistic sense, because in another way, Thales was sort of a monist and a pluralist, right? All is full of gods is sort of a monistic and a pluralistic statement at the same time, honestly. You know, so whether we look at the relation of the path of seeming and the path of becoming, right, and how it relates to being, right, or we, you know, totally cast aside perceptions, definitions, right? It's all about, you know, the fundamental basis of, you know, what we feel is the nature of existence. A question that most people honestly don't have the luxury to ponder, right? Whoa. Right.
Just check this out. That is the road. This is the pedestrian walk.
Whoa.
They pushed everything so that way pedestrian walk doesn't matter. It's all about the cars.
Right.
But if I walk out there, I'm putting myself in danger. Whereas if I walk on the sidewalk, you know, trust me, I got ankles. They work. Well, look at this. It's the friggin' Himalayas out here.
Yeah, for sure.
No one salted the sidewalks.
Yeah, that looks like pure destruction for the sidewalk for sure.
What am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with this? It's fucking, it's a 4-foot hill. I walk around it.
Yeah,
It's
bless you
ice.
guys. Yeah, that's essentially all we have for today. So if you guys want to hop up, you know, tell us your thoughts. I'll drop the link one last time. But you know, I'm not gonna be waiting around like that long. Definitely not 5 minutes. You know, I'll be waiting like 2 minutes. You know, we'll see if anybody comes up, you know, as we sort of close out the show here, right?
Yeah. I want to say thank you for letting me having me up, but I'm gonna go.
Blessings. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
I hope everybody enjoys their lives. Do the best you can. Tell the stories. Live them. And if you don't live them, at least get close to people who do.
I appreciate that, Untrackable. Thank you so much for joining, brother. You know, very
easy.
You know, sort of wise dude, chill dude there. I appreciate his energy, and I appreciate him sharing you know, sharing the time and the correspondence on the panel. So blessings to Untrackable. And yeah, we're just waiting here for people to call in if anybody's got a question. Right? We're ending the show here. So yeah, blessings to all the people. You know, Red, do you got anything for them? You know?
Just thinking of what you just said a little bit ago about it being pluralism and monism at the same time. So it's many gods but one substance.
Right. That's kind of like Thales, right? So
I mean, in a way, this might be what the Trinity is based on. It's just instead of three, it's just multiple, countless, uncountable
Yeah, and that kind of seen the paradox in that with the the statement of the muses, right? That things are many and one, and it's like what? There's an inherent contradiction in that, right?
I'd say the one substance is plasma, but that's just me.
Right, and that's I think there's some part of Heraclitus when he sort of talks about that, but I think in the Timaeus it may say some, but ultimately in the in Empedocles he may have coined the term, right? So I don't know if that's true, but he definitely uses the term aether, right? AITHER, right? So yeah, so he uses the term specifically. So we will get into that as well. So we got some interesting stuff coming up. It's interesting the dynamics between these things, and then also how the interpreters of these, they sort of use being, right? They use Parmenides' idea of being to posit that there's a something stable behind the nature of change to escape this idea of Heraclitus that nothing has definition, right? So they sort of say, no, we can't define things, right? Because being is the ground of becoming, right? Essentially, right? So this is the sort of how they sort of use both being and becoming ultimately, right? They interpret Parmenides to say that he wants to allow this sort of pluralistic nature, this path of becoming, to exist alongside the path of being, right? So they sort of dismiss his idea that there is no change, right? On any level, right? So this is ultimately what they'll come to. So yeah, and we're merely just introducing these questions here, right? We'll have a much fuller discussion about the issues tomorrow, right? These shows are sort of introductory, right? We're bringing up these questions, and of course, everybody's allowed to participate, right? We won't end that. Now, I may do presentations where I give a solo presentation in the beginning, and then I allow people up, right? And it's just me and Reddington up here, or just me, Reddington, and Buddha, or up here, right? But there always be hours of opportunity, right, on the regular show, Wednesday and Saturday, right? Upwards of 4 hours, right, for anybody to come and respond, right, to anything we're saying or laying down, any of the questions we bring up, any of the philosophical takes, right? As they've been called, philosophical takes. I don't even say, I work very hard to present two sides of a question where I don't tell you guys what my opinion is, right? So that people can make up their own mind and you can sort of decide for yourself, right? My job is not really to impose ideas on people, right? But sort of to present the problems, right? So this is a main push that we have here, right? And this is why you sort of see me discuss so many other people's ideas, and by and by I'll give my own summation of those critiques. And now the interesting part about it is that some of my critiques and some of my interpretations of the material are pretty unique, right? So they're just me, right? So but if you compare them to the academic sources, right, you'll see that we've done a lot of sort of soul searching with the material, right? So yeah, so there's a bunch of that going on, and of course we got a lot of things to get into, right? Tomorrow I have an exciting show planned. We'll see how many discussions we can get into, right? And of course I have a bunch of ideas to lay on the table here, right? From technical complexity to techno-liberalism, right, to Zen and Buddhist philosophy, right, to the ideas of the Tao, right, to the ideas of the pre-Socratics, right, and the ideas of the Kabbalah, right, and the mystics, and how that basically comprised a lot of the occult philosophy, right? So we have a lot of different angles, right, that we're going to sort of tackle here, right, as we look at a lot of different perspectives in terms of science and spirituality, technology, and religion, right? And we're sort of merging these various concepts together, right? As we say, obviously technology is sort of hiding the means to an end. It's encoding information, right? Man is a symbol-making animal, right? And this encoding of information, the creation of these symbols, right, was sort of the primary mode of sort of protecting information, encrypting information, right? So we have this idea of sort of, hiding the hidden info, right? And how you sort of conceal your means to an end, and how this is specifically what technique is, right? But of course, this is important for many different ways of understanding the world, right? But anyways, thank you for joining us here on The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And I'm grateful to have, lots of viewers today to start out the new week. We'll basically continue right on our trek to find answers and meanings to life's equations, right, or whatever. And yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. All right. We'll come back tomorrow. Expanding on the issues here, right? So it is what it is. We're looking at nature and time and how these things have been incorporated into a matrix of control, right? And we'll lay it out for you guys in a history of transhumanism. Blessings to all the people. Talk to you guys soon.
Pressing is for if you like me to send a letter or call, and if you want to give me something, man, don't stall. Yeah. Let's stop the break.
Some letters inside of my drawer that should have been stamped and delivered. One is addressed to my ex, it says I'm the type of man who can't be lived with. One is addressed to my friends, it says I'm a mess so y'all can't visit. One is addressed to myself, but I don't know which personality or hand to give it. I'm a goddamn misfit, mismatched but never miss much. Miss the right time, wrong place with the long face until our lips touch. I don't miss the mistrust, it's what got our messages mixed up. For a rip out your letters, let us see if I can tear you away from his clutch. This stuff's a whole other draw from a different dresser I'm not ready to address. I went to the west to get my mind off things I'm already depressed. I give up, get let down, downplay, play games, put on my game face, face my pharmaceutical needs, feed on my medicine. I don't like the way that it tastes. I go place to place without enough money to put a bed under me. I share my sleeping space with rodents, insects, and dust bunnies. I laugh at the mess I've created for myself until it gets unfunny, but I'm content in the fact that they don't expect respect, sex, love, or trust from me. When I'm hungry, I can taste it. I hide in the basement, check up on me every now and then, cause my mood swings low. I can feel myself going down again. Off is easy, getting put on takes a bit of ass kissing. I'd rather listen to myself lop on the ground than hear the sound of a mattress spring. I rap and sing, talking right, and often type with 2 fingers, the hunt and kill method. I edit 1/3 of a word per second. Your email sent in my unsent box. If you're a girl that I miss, you'll eventually get my virtual goodbye kiss. The rest are addressing my friends in the subject line is just check this fine bitch. And one for myself's untitled, but it's the same virus. My wrist gets slit on your shoulder blades when I lose my grip. When I hold your face, let it drip on your golden lace. Silver tips spilling all over the place. I'll lay my jacket over the blood puddle when we go on dates. To prove I'm a gentleman, pedaling my bike at a slow pace. The sum of the parts doesn't equal the whole, she states. Before my parents get home, I'll take time to find the fragments of our relationship. Glue back together this broken vase. Glue back together this broken vase. Glue back together this broken vase. Glue together this broken vase. Falling in love is easy. Falling out of love takes a bit of practice. I'm good at both without even owning a mattress. I never asked for a kiss without deserving one. If you never saw me cry before, wait for the next time I wake up on the wrong side of the floor. I've got some letters inside of my drawer that should have been sent by now, sealed in an envelope. One is addressed to my ex that says that I feel our friendship's a joke. One is addressed to my friend and it says his ex-girlfriend's on coke. And one is addressed to myself on a personal note, an open filled with endless quotes. Whenever I spoke, they'd close me in and bust my lip. Now I wear parentheses on my temples, step to the podium and just think. Whenever lonely, I shrink and hold myself squeezing tight before I scroll out on the hardwood floor and kiss myself to sleep at night. I have dreams of flight, but I'm not floating. The ground is approaching awfully quick, so I wake up screaming for you to catch me. That's what I start every day off with. That's what I start every day off with. I may talk shit, shit, but ain't much else to do in this prison cell. And lucky for me, no one really listens well, especially when I diss myself. I fly away in a pig when my living hell freezes over. And since I'm used to the cold, I'll be able to rest my head on Jesus' shoulder. Explanations are in order for why these floorboards are always freezing. Guess it'll all make sense once we get older and reach the age of reason. Till then, I'll have no reason to sleep in, not even on weekends, unless we're together, cause my willpower will probably weaken. Deepen my appreciation for the current condition, cause I'm sick of always feeling like something is missing. I slumber in one position, crouched up and feet alike, and the couch sucks cause my feet are like giving no space to breathe while I embrace my knees. It's off to the floor cause I can't sleep nowhere else. That's why I write these letters to all of y'all, but never send them. It's better to just keep to myself.
To hell with the kind of work you have to do to earn a living. All it does is fill the bellies of the pigs who exploit us. Look at me, I'm making it. I may live badly, but at least I don't have to work to do it. To all you workers out there, every single commodity you produce is a piece of your own debt. End of interview.
I'm so goddamn tired. Can't tell if I'm done or just uninspired. And don't give me that, you can be somebody's speech, that ain't your place. Let me be, I'm an example of a candlelit life with electric relaxation, brain trampled by devotion to remote control channel changing. Something provoked the whole globe to lower expectations. Damn, what's wrong with my generation? We was the cream of the crop, but it seems we've been robbed. That's what happens when you trade in all your dreams for a job. And every day it gets less and less exciting. I would make a difference, but I'm busy faking this instead of trying to change my shit from now to never. And I'll pretend I'm fine. Why am I always stuck at the shitty end of the assembly line? I guess I'm built to be intoxicated with hope. Sometimes it's a journey, most of the time it's just a bad joke. And in my skull's a junk drawer I can't organize. The first to come and last to leave will never be immortalized. This sort of life is completely overrated. I'm sick of being the only one I know that's trying to make it. So right now I'm heading home. Got Sounds of Nature Volume 1 in my headphones and half a bottle of prednisone. That's the reaction to an overdose of passion. Brainless, stagnant, ain't it magic? I never knew ambition could be so fucking disgusting. I earn a good commission, but it makes me feel so ugly. I'm on some not even knowing I'm an Illuminatus. Just as long as playing agent don't disrupt my funeral's progress. I ain't changing for you, I ain't reaching for the sky. I would if you could give me one good reason why I should even try. Cause after a while this never ending lame game of what's better could fracture your smile's mainframe forever. It's so fun to be in love, or so I've heard. The meaning has no feeling even though I understand the words. I used to try to make heaven right here on earth, but that'll only happen if you find someone else to do the work. I'll be surprised when my psychosis turns out to keep the driving focus while I hold the same blurred cloud as burnt out dope hits. So for now my worthless counterwork has found a purpose. Every time a pound of dirt's produced I get my frown refurbished. 2-for-1 specials if you order shoulder devils. Head swole, running out of petrol, but I won't let go of this gas pedal till I'm settled. And they finally wed me with that sweet blind security, so insecure and messy. Mark today the day the dedication died. Instead of saying goodbye I'm staying praying that I'll stay alive. Cause even though I know I hate to love you so much, I got no better place to go, that's why I always show up. Damn.
Yes, yes.
Getting a divorce. Getting separated, and we probably won't get around to the divorce till next year. Well, look, I mean, I know it's none of my business, but why? You're married to one of the great women of the world who adores you. My God, if anybody hasn't made you.
You act smart while I act dumb. But I know some that still lay under my thumb. See, we've got issues, so we swing a fistful, whatever, trying to keep the temper down to the gristle. They like the small talk as long as it's about you. They walk that walk without knowing how to. I watch it all and pretend that I'm above it, but the truth is I see it, I need it, I love it.
I'm stuck with random stray hairs from ex-lovers entangled in each other's desire to stay here beyond their welcome, sharing the same common problem. Blonde and brunette, tightly knit, and I don't fit in with split ends. Didn't have to worry about them taking me for my dividends. Paid my dues spending time by myself, she was with her friends, mingling with single men, say things like hitting skins to them, thinking it's innocent but then giving me guilty grins. Swimming with filthy fins, knocking boots, kicking my shins, shark infested water, torture treatments, get beat by the Timberlands. Feet are shivering, walking on cold graves. Roses lay on relationships, too impatient to die of old age.
Yeah, remember when you knew all the answers? Well, something shook until you thought you had the questions. For all the time and effort you've invested, I find it kind of funny that you haven't learned your lessons. Still guessing the whisper of the leaf, the rustle of the bitch. When there is no love, nothing makes you rich. So I give a shrug and the eye muscle twitches in replace of a hug and a lack of superstitions.
Stop thinking you don't belong here. You are where you are, cause you hardly move. The music is not gonna stop. Take your eyes off the chair, cause there's others that are under the same impression as you. How many seats will a rock bottom accommodate? One too many people who share nothing but views. Misery is willing to keep company with those who don't ever walk a mile in their own shoes. So now they swap souls, they got soul, fucking uninspired. They drop low under the fire of sky gods. It got old and now they wanna go higher, but cops patrol every single empire with tripods.
So video did kill the radio star. Now we're all so cute and drive brand new cars. We make music so you can lose your mind. We do the crime so you can do the time. Tell me who can get busy like this, man? Well, the truth is, damn near anyone can. So I'ma buy you some implants and a suntan. Let's follow the plan and get some fat off the land. Fuck this little rapper, treat me like a crook. Baby, if you knew me, you wouldn't sing my hook. You'd think I was so ugly, you'd be afraid to look. But maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get a chapter in your book. Doing fine, thanks for asking. Standing as the last man, popping bubbles and aspirin. Ready, set, action. Remove your dress so we can make a mess and hit the world with a little bit of stress.
Let's pep talk these wings till they strengthen. Forgetting footwork, making power moves on ceilings where heads spin. That unravels a bloody crown, revealing red skin. We created hierarchy, now there are no kings in heaven. Fatty acids added to the asthma medicine. Breathing heavy at the gates makes them have to let us in. Like as if implying we've been trying our hardest, using everyone else's honest way of dying as an armrest. I ain't on promise, broken over dislocated kneecaps, and it's harmless jokes that provoke freak accidents. Laugh at that lap dancer who strips off confidence. I live off of hope in Providence, 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 Providence.
Your communication tactics are all fucked up. Don't blame me. I had nothing to do with this.
You play the same damn records every day. No wonder you believe you'll never get away. You wear the same pair of jeans you woke up in. Keep the music coming, keep the movement sudden. I watched you dance every street of this city. I feel no pity. You laid the carpet, you made the target by yourself, little help. Now loosen up the belt and straighten up the apartment. Finish that book that you never even started. Take a look at that face that hates to look back. Set the oven on bake, take a pan out the rack. Season up your past, put it in and cook that.
Stop thinking you don't belong here. You are where you are, cause you hardly move. The music is not gonna stop. Take your eyes off the chair, cause there's others that are under the same impression as you. How many seats will a rock bottom accommodate? One too many people who share nothing but views. Misery is willing to keep company with those who don't ever walk a mile in their own shoes.
In internal science, 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 internal science.
It becomes undulate. It becomes wave-like. It becomes an activity. It becomes a movement rather than being a thing. It becomes a verb rather than being a noun. It becomes transparent.
It's physically impossible to truly explain the inner workings of this complex mechanical bioorganism that I rest within. A vessel composed of bone, flesh, and muscle, which will decompose when it grows weary of the involuntary life support theory. But clearly that point is yet to be marked in history's dark pages, reserved for heretics, mystics, and sages. And those vanished because they were too advanced for these primitive ages. Beyond the confines of material cages, we make material manifest, but we are the microcosm of the masters of the multiverse in all dimensions and concepts beyond cognition. Some care rather to create conflict through competition, consequently revealing a disposition towards self-destructive behavior. Beware, cause you might be at risk. Syntax error, reboot the system, discorrect the neglect, and eject the guilty suspect. One of the many hordes of parasitic insects who infest the host and later feast upon his peace of mind. Combine the awareness of transcendence with the frustration of existence, and you might just understand eternal science. You might just understand eternal science.
It becomes undulate. It becomes wave-like. It becomes an activity. It becomes a movement rather than being a thing. It becomes a verb rather than being a noun. It becomes transparent.
Bringing it back down to human standards, people don't know what they can do. They might find out something special if it's okay and it's safe to put you on a different threshold. Look out for these newer shapes coming from another dimension you can't capture on tape. Time-lapse photographs. There's no way. You just wait. I'll walk over to 11 o'clock and vibrate your slow plate. That's how I operate. Apparate into a room and then you might evaporate. Reappear inside of a tomb with a crocodile speaking in blues there to watch you. In a windowless wall, this wormhole gloom. And different magic on the door that you try to walk through. If that was me, I'd rotate out supernaturally. In a few years, once I get my table planning here, you will see me airborne without one glare or a stare. We're here to help the world out of the situation that we're in. Internal science, what I'm about. We'll inform your next of kin. TV Lab, ST Waste, let's begin.
Internal science, 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 internal science.
I used to understand happy. I know that I used to be happy. I was really happy. I'm unhappy now and I can't remember what it's like to be happy. I only remember... I don't remember. I remember being happy only in comparison to not being happy, which is what I am now.
Good morning, sunshine.
Damn.
Good morning, sunshine.
Yeah.
Good morning, sunshine. Shine. Good morning, sunshine. Good morning, sunshine.
I ain't the cat y'all saw yesterday. At least I mean by tomorrow I won't be anyway. Whole new ball game, whole new day.
Buggy, don't it?
Your overgrown headlight. I asked you for the last time. Why you so unkind? How many years in time I asked you since you baked this blue? You don't look out for us more than you do. Curious, huh? Curious yellow, ain't ya?
No, it ain't religion.
You know I don't go for that chosen few. Amen.
I just testing you.
Rain.
That sure is lame. You must be got stone lost my brain. Rain. That sure is lame.
Good morning,
I
sunshine.
ain't the cat y'all saw yesterday. At least I mean by tomorrow I won't be anyway. Whole new ball game.
Whole new day.
Curious, ain't ya? Curious, yellow.
My Aunt Emma.
She drowned in that boat on Labor Day. She had on a big white yellow hat.
It was all yellow, brand new.
The hat was green, and she was too. Everybody's dead. When they found her, cause she didn't come up right away. Reverend Coleman said it was to punish her
for a fast way.
But he always talked like that anyway. Can't be contradicting. Trying to scare folks and grease his trade. That's what my Uncle Leroy used to say. And Emma was always a practical one. In the family anyway. Then she reach in the pocket and give
number. They gon' hit today. Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning, sunshine. I ain't the cat you saw yesterday. At least I mean by tomorrow I won't be anyway. Whole new ball game, whole new day.
The first thing I'm gonna do is send down a box load of roses to have them put on Aunt Emma's grave. Next I'm gonna buy myself some shades. So if I'm out in the day, I won't have to look at you. Last time you and that Garmin District Cadillac gonna trump on me.